If it's time to change the brakes on your 2010 to 2016 BMW 5 Series, don't waste your money at the dealer. It's an easy job to do yourself, and we're going to tackle it right now. I like hitting up Amazon. They have great deals on some good products. I'll put the link below for this here. Just as good as OEM, saves you a lot of money. First, you're going to want to put the car into workshop mode, and that's using a scanner or a car computer to electronically retract, to tell the emergency brakes to retract so that you can do the work. Now, there is a hack. There are other videos out there to show you how to dismount the electronic motor, and you can do this job without a scanner. It is a hack, not the right way. I suggest if you're going to do any kind of DIY stuff, invest in a small scanner. I'll put a link down below for this one. Works great, and it was not expensive. Very important to note, engage workshop mode only when the vehicle is still put together. If you take a caliper off before doing that and then you engage workshop mode, you'll end up pushing the piston right out of the caliper. Once that's done, jack up the car, support it with a jack stand, take off your wheel, set it to the side. Get yourself some PB Blaster, spray it right around that hub just to loosen it up in case it's stuck on there. If you need to, spray the hardware. There's 2 bolts that hold the caliper on and 2 bolts that hold the caliper bracket on. If you need to spray those, you can. Now the rotors on this car have a set screw or a retaining screw. It's a hex head screw. You can spray that a little bit. To take this out, I always try to tap this in a little bit with a hammer just to make sure it's fully seated. Make sure there's no grime in there, because any little thing that's going to be in there is going to lessen the grip on that bolt. Give it a good turn and get that bolt off. If it's not spinning, if it's really stuck on there, you can use an impact set. I'll put a link to that below. Basically, you hit it with a hammer. As you hit it, it spins, it shocks it and spins it and breaks it loose. Luckily, these came off easy. Next, we work our way around to the back and remove the caliper. There's 2 bolts that hold it in, and there's a guide pin or a slide. There's a good chance that that's going to also spin, so you need to use a second wrench to get in there, hold it in place, so you can back off these bolts. Now you can use a Torx bit to take these off. I don't trust them seating well enough, so I just use a regular box wrench. With the second bolt off, you should be able to just wiggle this caliper off and out of the way. You might have to use a screwdriver and pry a pad back a little bit if it's stuck, but once you take this caliper off, you set it to the side. You want to hang it. Cardinal rule, you don't want to let that thing hang just on the brake lines. So use a wire tie, a bracket, anything you have that you can hang and suspend the caliper out of the way. Once that's done, go to work on the 2 bolts that hold the caliper bracket on. Now these are E-Torx head bolts, which is basically a reverse or like an inside-out Torx. I'll put a link to some of those below. They're inexpensive. You can better set off of Amazon easily. Get that bracket to the side. Spray it down with some PB Blaster. Start to let that soak in. We're going to want to loosen up and try to get as much of this grime and crud out of this bracket. There are 2 guides. You want to take those off, throw them away, use the new ones. Use a wire brush or a wire wheel to get these caliper bracket really cleaned up. Install the new guides. Check these slides or these pins to make sure that they work well. If they're sticking, if they don't move in and out, then you're going to want to take the boot off. You're going to want to clean inside there, re-lube it, possibly put new boots on it. You want that caliper to be able to float on that bracket for it to work properly. After you put these new slides in, these new guides, get some Sil Glide and lube up any of the surfaces that are going to come in contact with your new brake pads. Now back to the rotor. It seems to be on there pretty tight here, so I'm going to hit it a few times with a hammer, break it loose. Luckily this one wasn't too stubborn and it popped off. Once that's done, I'm going to spray the hub down a little bit with some PB Blaster, let it soak for a few, then come back with a wire wheel or a wire brush just to clean it off, make it look nice and shiny. After that, install the new rotor, seat that set screw in place, and hold it down. One important note, if you're using cross-drilled or slotted rotors, they do have a designation, they do have a proper orientation, so take note of that before you install to make sure you're putting it on the right side. With the rotor back in place, we're going to reinstall the caliper bracket and the caliper in reverse order. First, your caliper bracket goes on. You want to torque down these caliper bracket bolts to 52 foot-pounds. After that, you're going to want to install your brake pads. Once again, I'm just going to put a little bit of lube on any of the parts that come in contact that have to move or slide, obviously except for the meat of the pad. Snap them into place. If you find that they're difficult to go in, you might want to double check these little stainless steel guides, as they might not be seated properly. Once again, just check these slide pins. Make sure that they work well and the boots are intact. After that, we're going to tackle compressing this piston. I like to start this process by opening the reservoir of brake fluid just to allow it to flow back into that tank easier. You're going to want to use a brake tool set for this car. This is a cheap one off of Amazon. I'll put the link below. These pistons don't just compress back in, you have to spin them. So you'll find the right adapter for it, you use the tool, and it gets them back into the place. For me, this is always the worst part of a brake job, is getting this piston back in, especially when they're like these where you have to spin them or when they're stubborn. But just take your time. It's going to take some time, effort, some muscle. Keep an eye on the little adapter. Once you start to compress this, you'll have to adjust the tool. If not, that little adapter will fall out and it just causes aggravation. Take your time with this. Get that seated all the way back down to the body of that caliper, and then you should be able to slide this entire assembly back on to the bracket over the pads. With the caliper back in place, reinstall the 2 slide bolts into the guide pins. They get torqued down 22 foot-pounds. Now this car has an electronic wear sensor, and it's only on the passenger side. So when you're doing that side, you want to make sure you reinstall a new one. And they install pretty easily. You'll see here the other side I was working on, there's a little slot in the back of this pad. The sensor snaps right into that. You'll thread it through the caliper. There's different attachment points, and then they'll terminate in a junction box towards the top of that wheel well. Once your caliper's back together, wheel goes on, tightening it in a star pattern. We're going to go back to this reservoir, take a look at it, make sure that the fluid hasn't gone over the max point. Adjust it if you need, close it up, and then don't forget to take your vehicle back out of workshop mode. I'll put links below to the products and tools I use in the video. I like making these videos to show people how easy it is to do these things yourself, and of course to save money while doing it. And if you use my links, I will earn a whole 17 cents.